Be shocked, by the way, if you missed this headline that Bill Belichick would not be a first-ballot Hall of Famer after failing to reach the 40-vote threshold. But you may have missed some of the reaction, including this from his former quarterback, Tom Brady.
I don't understand it. I mean, I was with him every day. If he's not a first-ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first-ballot Hall of Famer.
Can you show me a first-ballot coach Hall of Fame resume? I mean, what's it going to have to be to go in and be inducted in the first round when you have a resume with Coach Belichick who didn't even get in?
And when I talked to 2 or 3 of the voters today, of course, every voter is going to say I voted for him. Which is, a bunch of them are lying.
If you have Bill Belichick not making the NFL, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you should not have a vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
J-Mac, a reaction that certainly you would expect having played for Belichick. What do you make of this?
I mean, Jimmy Johnson, I think he was the one who summed it up the best with all of his beautiful, colorful language that he used to talk about this. It's just insane, and everyone can talk about all the different type of gates you want to talk about, Spygate, Deflategate. The truth of the matter, this guy had 2 Hall of Fame runs, 3 Super Bowls with New England, time off, and then 3 more Super Bowls with New England, and not even to mention the other 2 that he won as a defensive coordinator with the New York Giants. It's insane. I think the worst thing about it is that when the Hall of Fame comes up in the summer, all we're going to talk about is Belichick not being there. But you wonder, what is Belichick doing about us? He has to be pissed. I guarantee you, Belichick is on the road recruiting, going from high school to high school right now, trying to recruit the best athletes in the world, and he's not even thinking about everything that we're talking about every single day.
All right, with the playoffs in full swing, it would have been easy to miss Ben Johnson's end-of-season press conference where he was very blunt about building off this year's success, but you're not going to miss it because we're bringing it to you right now.
There is no building off of this. We go back to square one. We're back at the bottom again, and that's really all 32 teams. If you feel otherwise, you're probably missing the big picture.
Those comments make sense, Dan. Back to the bottom, back to square one.
I think it's one of my favorite moments for Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
I truly agree with everything that he said because teams make the mistake of allowing that initial first year to success to cover up who you really are. One, they won games this year. They didn't dominate games and didn't control games. So that's the next step for Chicago is, well, instead of trying to win games late, let's dominate games. Let's control games like Detroit did after that first year when they started to win. One, get the quarterback to be more efficient. There's also a part of me that sits there and goes, is he ever going to be this wildly efficient quarterback? Should I stop expecting him to be that? Is he more of
do you take too much out of his game?
Is he more a long-range shooter? Is he more a three-point shooter? And it's just a different version of success. And so I think, figuring that out is probably a big part of them and probably the way that we talk about that team.
It was so different when I heard him say that because you think about it, a team that if you fired your head coach and you got a new head coach is because you weren't succeeding. So when you come in year one and you have that success and you make it to the playoffs and you win some games there, you would think the first thing you would say as a coach is, yes, we want to build off of that. We want to be in the exact spot we were in last year and then win another game or two. The fact that he went the other way, I go back to, you think about it a year ago, at this point, we were talking about how amazing the season was for the Commanders with Jaden Daniels, 100%. And how fantastic it was. And all we kept saying is they just have to build on this. And a lot of us picked them to even go further this year. And then you have a backslide. So I think to your point, Dan, of what he's saying is let's go back to the foundation of this and figure out who we are as a team. Because last year we were coming in and it was so much newness around the entire building that you're just trying to hit the ground running. Well, now we have an entire offseason to break down everything we did a year ago and to fix the issues and improve on the good things.
What are some maybe key personnel areas that you would look at? You mentioned receiver potentially adding somebody there.
My thing with the receivers is this is a run-centric offense. You have to have receivers that are willing and capable of blocking. There are moments they did that well this year. Antoine Randall, who's their coach, is one of the best in the league, in my opinion, doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think they did that well throughout the remainder of the season. So I don't know if it's an emphasis or a human to come in there and be that kind of guy. And then defensively, their front seven has to get better against the run. It has to get better against the run. I think the secondary is talented enough to continue to play at a high level with taking the ball away.
And they're free agents. Byard, their free safety, who led the league and had a ton of interceptions, he's going to be a free agent. Nashawn Wright, he's going to be a free agent at the cornerback spot. So when you talk about it from a personnel standpoint, like those guys all had a huge impact on their season. You're seeing the turnovers, but then even Gardner Johnson, when he brought to the team,
well, you're not going to re-sign all four of them.
You're not, of course not. So like that's the things you got to look at. Byard.
Brisker and Byard, would you lean if you had two?
Yeah, and you're hoping Byard, he's an older player. You want to have the veteran in the room. So yes, but both those guys are safeties. Like how many safeties do you want to pay on your team as well?
That what we just saw on that list, 15 of the 23 interceptions that were the league high. That was amazing. The way
I didn't know that all those guys were free agents.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on, certainly. It's been a historic sophomore season for Drake Maye, who led the NFL in completion percentage and yards per attempt. Maye won 3 games last year. He's lost 3 this year as a starter. He's also thrown 20 more pass touchdowns and has as many picks this year as he had last year, despite starting 8 more games. Just been remarkable. Let's get into Maye here for a bit. As good as he's been, there's still some things he needs to clean up heading into the Super Bowl. What are they, guys?
Well, he hasn't been in a Trent Dilfer or any of those type of quarterbacks. Drake Maye has been unbelievable this year. And you go back to that AFC Championship game, I know their offense struggled, but there were some opportunities out there, Dan, that I want to ask you as a quarterback, because me looking at it from a defensive back, I'm like, man, had he just maybe looked here a little bit longer, maybe just throw there, they could have put more points on the board, and there were opportunities to be had. So we go back to this play. When I see this, Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, you typically don't see your 2 receivers now are aligned into the boundary.
We're doing that because we want to create matchups.
Absolutely.
I want to take those guys and force you from a coverage perspective. So if we're putting this into the Seattle world, because that's Hufanga and Surtain, I'm trying to see if, do I like an advantage pass game-wise versus a Nick Emanwari in the slot over a Witherspoon?
No doubt about it. And you can put the safeties in there, a Julian Love or a Kobe Bryant as well. So you get this. Now you have Hufanga safety matched up on Stephon Diggs. Now, when he's coming across the field, if I'm Drake Maye, I would think this play's put in where this is going to be our primary guy that we want to hit. Now, he takes the shot on the outside. That's against Pat Surtain.
Yeah, so I think the learning example is, as much as you love Kayshon Boutte, if that was a Riley Moss, throw it. And so that's going to be, again, part of that conversation is there a corner when they're playing against Seattle that they feel
you like that matchup?
Because one of the things that stood out against the Rams was the Rams would, the Seattle Seahawks secondary, we talked about this, they played on the back hips so much of the Rams receivers. So maybe that's something to adjust, because I would sit here and say, I totally agree with you. Now, maybe there's this pre-game awareness where you could see Hufanga trying to pass this off to that safety. So maybe if they got man free, which is man-to-man coverage with the free safety in the middle of the field, they didn't love that crosser. But I do think that's something to pay attention to, of maybe Drake having a very clear understanding of what matchup they're actually hunting. Like, you go to the red zone and you're talking about the red zone concept and you're sitting there going, well, is there really nobody open here? Because there are people open against this defense.
There are people open, and I always look at where's the quarterback eyes taking me. So Drake Maye, people will look at it and say, all right, Ramondre Stevenson, he's wide open on his play. He's not looking on that side of the field. He's never going to see it. Drake Maye from the snap is looking down here at the bottom. So what do I see? When this ball snaps, you see Hufanga sitting right in the middle, which takes away Stephon Diggs, which may be the first read. But then you go to the outside between Mac Hollins and Hunter Henry. Why not throw to one of those 2 guys?
So I think you're totally right. You know, the starting point for Drake Maye, depending on how he's getting taught to read this, is, hey, where's the safety in the middle of the field? Because I would love to him to understand safety's in the middle of the field here. I got 3 receivers down here. I would say, hey, I want you to take your eyes. Let's move this safety, okay? Just take him where he wants to go. Move that safety that way, and then get backside to Kayshon Boutte on this little in route, because if you create a little bit of window right there and snap your eyes, there's a throw to be had there, okay? Now, that's Patrick Surtain. But I do believe that even if this is a Witherspoon or
Tariq
Woolen, you got to trust his physical presence, right? And then if you go to the bottom, really the starting point where the read would be Steph, but then you quickly get to this high-low of 2 to 3, meaning if this corner drives Mac Hollins, then you want to throw this corner route. But I would also say that's open. That's open in the NFL.
No doubt about it.
So I think some of the learning experience for Drake Maye in this game and going into the Seattle game from an offensive perspective is, hey, you got to trust the frame of a Boutte and a Mac Hollins. it's going to be a very physical game versus that secondary. We got to trust our guys and their physical presence to make some plays.
I like that. Trust the frame of a Booty or Mac Hollins. Well said, Dan.
I can't stand you guys. On a more serious note, it's been a wild
I get myself
12
in
months.
so much trouble.
Yeah, you really are. It's been a wild 12 months in New England, J-Mac. I mean, they got a new coach. They got 30 new guys on the roster. They go from 4 wins to now a spot in the Super Bowl. I mean, we're going to keep talking about this story, but it is remarkable. You were around the team for a lot of this transformation.
Yeah.
How did Vrabel get the guys to buy in?
I think the special thing about Mike Vrabel is when he gets in there, he has a unique ability to connect with guys, but also hold them accountable and challenge them. The talk of the preseason for them was, can you challenge Drake Maye to become more of a vocal leader? It's one thing to lead by example as a quarterback. It's another thing to hold each other accountable and for the quarterback to uplift the guys around them. The second thing for Mike Vrabel was, can you get the guys to believe in what you're selling? I think when he was able to do that in the preseason, we saw this guy jumping in the middle of scuffles and fighting with his players during the preseason.
You would never.
For guys on the team, they're like, well, he's one of us. That's our guys. I think the third thing is the staff he built. He has a ton of coaches in there with the knowledge that guys know when I go out there on a given Sunday, whatever day it is, they're putting us in the best position to succeed.
Yeah, Dan jumps in a lot of scuffles, too. Just kidding.
I'm like Steph on the sideline.
All right. Time for one more thing before we go. On the day his new head coach was introduced, Josh Allen with some self-reflection on what went wrong in his playoff loss.
If I make one more play that game in Denver, we're probably not having this press conference right now. We're probably not making a change. And in all honesty, we're probably getting ready to play another game.
Man.
I give him credit.
He's not wrong, right?
I give him credit for owning it, man. That guy's always accountable, so I'll give him credit. He's 100% right. We talked about it in the moment. I think that's why we saw the emotion, because they knew.
And they knew, and I think for Josh, it's crazy as it sounds, that's what we expect from him because that's all he's shown us of who he is as a leader and as a player and as a person.
That word leader, I mean, that's great leadership. Leadership with accountability. He's done it. He set that example. It's why he's been the MVP. He'll be the MVP again. And I really would not be shocked if they end up getting to a Super Bowl at some point. Dan, you're not in a red suit. Everybody else is. You didn't get the memo.
Oh, that's more like a Merlot. It looks good on you, though.
Well, the bad thing is Laura looks better than both of us in the suit, so like that, like
Devin can never wear that.
Wear suits anymore.
Are you a Texas fan?
Get out of here. See you tomorrow. SportsCenter's next.